Look at this absolutely gorgeous Vanford. This might be one of the best Vanfords in the world. I'll probably never sell this reel, even when it's 20 years old. But I created a perfect set of bearings for the Vanford platform of reels from Shimano. This platform includes the Vanford that I'm holding right here. It includes the Soare XR. It includes the Complex XR. And it includes the brand new Cardiff. I have reviews of all four of these reels on my channel, and you can see what are the tiny differences between them. Now I'm gonna try to create a super short video on how to install these four bearings and how to grease the reel while you have it open. First thing to do is remove the handle and remove the spool. Next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna remove these 3 washers under the spool. My reel had 3 and I never touched it, but you may have 2 or 4, but whatever number of washers you have, remove them. Next, you're gonna need a 0.9 millimeter hex, which is real tiny, and there is a screw here. You can just see the hole, but there we go, I got it. You can get this screw out with the 0.9 millimeter hex. You can take it out all the way and leave it on the hex, and it will stay there until it's time to put it back. And remove the entire drag clicker assembly. There will be also 1 washer under the drag clicker assembly. This is the drag clicker assembly. In the Soare XR, Complex XR, and the Cardiff, this assembly will come out of the box with a bearing exactly like this. But the Vanford will come with a white plastic bushing. You pull this spring out, remove the plastic bushing, put the bearing here just like so, and put the spring back on. I'm not going to show you everything or the video will be 15 minutes long, and I'm really trying to keep it short. Next thing we're going to do is remove these 2 little screws here. With the screws off, you can grab the skirt here, and that will lift both the skirt and the protector. And not protector, but the cap. It will remove both the skirt and the cap out of here. Then you need a 12 millimeter wrench for this nut. It actually opens the other way, not normal, but it loosens this way, and remove the nut. This is the nut that supports the main shaft. This is where the other bearing will go on all 4 reels of the Vanford platform. Under the rubber seal here, there is a little washer. You remove the little washer, and under the washer you will find a brass bushing. I already have a bearing here, but you're gonna grab one of these that cost only $6 at ifishtackle.com. You're gonna push your brass bushing out like this, and you're gonna get the bearing that I will give you, and you're gonna put the bearing back here, slow and gentle, and you're gonna put the washer back on top and the rubber seal back on top of it, and this is where the second bearing goes. With the 12 millimeter nut gone, the rotor can now come off gentle. There will be aluminum part under the rotor that is part of the X-Protect. This part will sometimes stay here, sometimes gets glued to the rotor. Just be aware that you have a part that stays here during the assembly. You're gonna first put the aluminum part during the reassembly, and then you're gonna put the rotor back on, but I'm gonna remove it now. Okay, next thing we're gonna do is remove this chrome butt here that is held by one T6 screw. So you're gonna need one of these T6 screwdrivers. The side plate is attached to the frame with only 3 screws. The little one here at the butt is a T6 screw, so you're gonna use exactly the same screwdriver that you used to remove the cap. And the other 2 screws, the longer ones, one here and one there, are T9. You're gonna need T9 for those. Oops, I'm trying to show you where the other screw is. The third screw is over here. This is the reason why we had to remove the rotor. But very important, very important, very important, you do not need to remove the anti-reverse bearing. I repeat for 4th time, do not touch the anti-reverse bearing. Okay, with the 3 screws removed, we're ready to open the reel. And to open the reel, hold it like this, with the main shaft pointing this way, because it's actually the other way, not what you think, what is the frame and what is the side plate. The whole big piece here with the handle is actually the side plate. And this here on the right is considered the frame and the body that holds the gears and everything. So when we're removing the side plate, we're actually removing the handle and the whole thing. So just hold it like this and gently tap it down to your palm. Sometimes it will come off, but if it doesn't, just gently tap it down like this, very gently. Careful about this part right here. It will want to hold the 2 pieces together, this curve, this arch here. Okay, careful about this arch. And just gently wiggle it out. It's the bearing on the side plate still hanging on, and this little plastic piece here. Don't force. If you wiggle with the same force 5 times, it just comes off. Okay, so this here is the oscillation worm. We're gonna put 2 bearings, one on the left side of the oscillation worm and one on the right side. But first we need to move the main shaft out of the way. To do this, we have to pull this pin right here out of the frame. So grab it with whatever you have, but don't scratch it, and just pull it forward and out of the frame. Once it sticks out a little bit, grab it on this side, because it doesn't matter if you scratch it over here, but you don't want to scratch in the middle, right? You can grab it on the outside. You don't even need to remove it all the way. You can leave it like this. And now we can pull the main shaft out of the way like so. And here is the oscillation worm, and we have perfect access to the oscillation worm now. To remove the oscillation worm, to put the 2 bearings, we have to remove this screw right here. That's the only thing holding the oscillation worm. To work with this oscillation worm, it really helps to have something thin to reach out there, something like this. Remember, no force. This moves very easy, no force. Don't scratch anything, okay? But you can just pull it out now. Doing this on camera is so difficult. But you're gonna have here a washer and a white plastic bushing on the right hand side. And I'm gonna give you a bearing that you're gonna put right here. But let's remove it right now first. Then this black cog over here has to come out also. Like so. That's why this tool is really helpful. And you can see the white bearing inside. Let me see if I can point to it with something sharp. But in your reel, there will be a white plastic bushing. It will look exactly the same as this, but it will be a plastic bushing. And what you see in the frame here is actually a fully ceramic bearing. To pull this white bushing out of the frame, the only thing that really works is one of these little bearing removal tools. They are $6 at iFish Tackle, but you can find your own wherever you want. But I don't know any other way to grab this, but with this little hook, I don't even want to move it because the video will be too long. You pull the white bushing out and you put the bearing that I will give you back in there. When the bearing is installed, put the black cog back in there. After you put back the black wheel, you're gonna put the Oscillation Warm. It goes inside the black wheel, like so. You will see when it kinda finds the bed and sinks inside the black wheel. When the Oscillation Warm is back in, you're gonna put back first the washer that was sitting here under the plastic bushing, and then you're gonna get the bearing that I gave you and you're gonna put it on top of the washer. The bearing will be replacing the plastic bushing. It will also be white, it will be fully ceramic, so your Oscillation Warm, as you see it, will now run on 2 fully ceramic bearings. Okay, when you put the bearing all the way down, you're gonna put a special washer that I will give you. I will give you a set of 4 bearings and a special washer that does something amazing that Shimano should have done, but they didn't, and I'm gonna talk about it at the end of the video. But the special washer will go after the bearing, exactly like so, to fill the little gap. If you did everything correctly, there will be a little gap after the bearing, and you're gonna put the special washer that I will give you to fill the gap, and then you're gonna put the shim, and then you're gonna put the screw to close it. Fill this hole here with some kind of grease and close the main shaft, put it back on top of the Oscillation Warm, found the slot, and it will go inside like so. And that's it. We are done with installation of all bearings. Now, while you have the reel open, let me tell you a quick word on proper greasing to get the maximum effect from the time you invested, opening and closing the reel. Now, people ask me all the time, Victor, what grease do you use on your ultralight fishing reels? And I'll tell you my honest opinion, but I'm sure it will disappoint you. My honest opinion is that it doesn't matter. I have tried everything from Hedgehog and it just doesn't matter, and I can bet a lot of money that in a blind test people will not be able to tell one grease from the other. The only thing that is important is where do you put grease and how much do you put. I have to repeat this. The only thing that is important is where do you put grease and how much do you put. But because I know people still want recommendations, even if it doesn't matter, they want to be told something exact so they can buy. This is the original Daiwa grease. It's actually very cheap. SLP Works 104. This is original, genuine Daiwa grease. It's nice, but just as nice as the other greases. This is Shimano. I think it's called DG1, this one. But this is what it looks like. It's also a very thin grease. Now, Hedgehog has a million greases and they're all very fancy and they're all very expensive. My 2 favorites are this one. One is for salt water, one is for fresh water. I've used them both on ultralight spinning reels. Cannot tell a difference, but I kind of like these greases because they're kind of sticky and they stay to the gears a little longer. But I've done some of my Vanfords with these. I've done some with the Shimano. I've done some with the Daiwa. The only thing that matters is put grease only on the main gear and one other place. Only on the teeth of the main gear, and don't put too much because immediately after just a few revolutions, it will get splashed out of the teeth. The grease that you put on the main gear will also go on the pinion. The only other place where you will put some grease, whatever grease you have, on the Oscillation Warm grooves over here. Not over here on the shaft, but over here. Now on this little support shaft here, and on the main shaft, sorry for the shaking, and on the main shaft, if you want to put anything, put oil. Whatever oil you have, don't ask me please in the questions, what about this, what about? Any oil will be good here, but do not put grease on the main shaft, because the pinion is spinning very fast around it. If you put grease here, yeah, it's gonna feel smoother, but it's gonna give you a lot of resistance. The same thing with this shaft here. You can actually, I've used with very good success engine oil from your car engine or from your boat engine, like 5W30. Drop a few drops here, drop a few drops here, and you're golden. These plastic gears, you can put oil on them if you want, but no grease either. But if you want a high performing reel, the only grease goes on the gears and nowhere else, or you will get resistance. And that's it. That's all my secrets. Now put the reel back together in exactly the reverse order of the disassembly, and you can watch my video to see what the reverse order is. But I will give you one other thought when I put my reel back together. I'm gonna give you one other tip during the reassembly. Do not over tighten this nut here. You don't want your rotor to be loose, but if you over tighten the nut, this will create extra resistance. I know you don't always have choice, because this one locks like this or like this, so you gotta make it fit. But keep in mind, you don't want this nut to be too tight. Alright, the reel is back together. Now let me show you why I added one extra washer to the set of bearings that I sell for this reel. Test this on your reel before disassembly, maybe even without a camera, so you can measure it. Just push the spool up and down. It will move some good 2 millimeters up and down. On this reel, I didn't put the washer on purpose. By the way, this washer, you can remove the cap and put the washer without disassembly of the reel. On this reel, I have the washer, and the spool still wiggles a little bit. Now, I can remove the wiggle completely, but then you're risking adding tightness again. So that's why I picked a washer with the perfect size, but also with the perfect thickness to remove some of that extra free play from the spool without adding resistance. And that's it. Now you know how to install these bearings, but I will give you a heads up. This job is, I would say, of medium difficulty, and some prior experience is required, I would say. Don't start this if you have never opened a reel before. Thanks for watching, guys. If you're interested in this set of bearings for any of the 4 reels that I mentioned, the Vanford, the Soare XR, the Complex XR, or the Cardiff, you can find the full set of bearings and that washer. It will be a set at ifishtackle.com. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.